Hello and welcome to Grim Survival. I'm back. I ain't really go anywhere, but yeah, I'm here. The wind today is incredible. We're having 50-mile-per-hour wind gust. I've seen pieces of what looks like people's buildings flying down the road. Sustained winds are even. I think they're like 30 to 40 mile per hour. Also, I've been in hurricanes, so yeah, this ain't nothing. But yeah, it's that kind of day. Today is November 15th. I'd like to give a special shout out to a certain subscriber whose name I won't mention. No, I'm not going to mention it. I shouldn't mention it. But I'm going to give a shout out anyway. Happy birthday. You know who you are. Hope you watch the video today and get the happy birthday. I'll just send the video to you and make you watch it, right? Yeah, that's how I should do it. So happy birthday. You know who you are. My birthday's coming up December 10th. What do I want for my birthday? I want an Old Town Discovery 119. It's about an $800 canoe. Yeah, that's not happening, right? I'd settle for a crossbow. I really have this urge to go hunting. Alright, so yeah, this video is going to be about mindset or emotional difficulties, emotional problems. I woke up on the wrong side of the bed this morning. It's what my mama used to say. My mother, she used to say when I got up in a bad mood that I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Yet, in my memory, now this is probably an exaggeration, but in my memory, 90% of the time I woke up in a bad mood was her fault for waking me up. I'm not a morning person. When people wake me up, especially if they do it rudely, it starts my day off wrong and irritates me. So, emotions, we're going to talk about that just a bit. YouTube, I'm going to talk about YouTube real quick. I'm going to badmouth them again. Yesterday, I was about 20 hours away from the needed hours I needed to monetize my channel. Today, I'm about 60 hours away, somewhere right in there. It was like 40. Anyway, it went down. The numbers went down in the last 24 hours. Now, I'm curious because they don't update it every day. Every time I do a live stream or something like that, it takes like 2 or 3 days to actually update those hours onto my channel, and now they're falling off there faster than they're going up. So thanks, YouTube, appreciate it. So I'm on BitChute now. I've been starting to upload videos to BitChute. It's working a little bit, but they have a notification on there that they have been deplatformed. Whoever their service providers were didn't like their free content of, freely letting people say whatever they want, unlike YouTube, and they took them down. So it's running slow is what it is. So I'm still going to support them. I'm still going to upload my videos there, but I've also been told about a couple other ones. Prepper Nation was talking about one called Rumble last night, so I'm going to try that out also. Speaking of Prepper Nation, I called him out in the middle of his live stream last night, and I convinced him to do in front of all his subscribers, I convinced him to do a co-live with me on my channel soon. So after my live I'm doing with Alaska Prepper on Tuesday the 17th, 8 p.m. Eastern, I will be setting up another live stream with John over from Prepper Nation. That's going to be fun. I think we're going to have a lot to talk about. I think it's going to be fun, personally. So yeah, I trimmed this. This is the news for the day. I trimmed it. It was looking a little shaggy, so I just went bzz, 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 and yeah. That's the news of the day. All right, that's all I had to say. See you guys later. No, I'm just kidding. All right, so emotional things. Now, this is going to be kind of grim, but that's what I do. So, grim. How to start here. So, emotions. People are going to change. People you know are going to change. People that live in your household are going to change. So, I guess to start at the beginning, most Americans have lived a very, very sheltered lifestyle. And what do I mean by a sheltered lifestyle? What I mean by that is, without using I'll just say it anyway. Most Americans are soft, right? They're soft. Yeah. We have, and I'm including myself into this category because I've done the same thing. We live in a society where everything is always available. We've never, in my entire lifetime, and most people who are alive, because there are still some kicking around from way back when, but most people who are still alive today have never seen a time where we didn't have enough. As a matter of fact, We've always had more than enough in the United States. We've always had more than enough. We can just, what was it? It was probably a few years ago, 2010, somewhere in there, they started talking a lot about the obesity issues in the United States. And you could only have issues like that if you have an abundance, okay? That's the only time you have that kind of an issue. I mean, you look at any of what they call the third world countries where they don't have an abundance, and you'll never see an obesity problem, ever, because it's not possible. It's just not possible. So most Americans have always been able to go and get food no matter what. No matter what. Even if you're poor, and even if you are really poor, you have $2 to your name, you could still go get a meal. You could, I mean, I've had times where I was scraping change out of the bottom under the floor mats in my car, but I was still able to go get a meal. So we have always had our comfortable houses. For the vast majority nowadays, you have air conditioning and heat. I mean, yeah, in most places, depending on your climate, it's actually required by law to have one or the other if you are in a rental home or something like that. We have programs in this country like Section 8 welfare and things that provide for people who either are unable to work or unwilling to work. And it's very, I mean, even though we have a lot of homeless people in the United States, even the homeless people are still able to eat every day. Homeless people still have more in the United States than what a third world country has. So we've always had an abundance. We've always had everything we needed. Always. Always, always. We've always had that. In my lifetime, anyway. I'm not going to say always, because there was the Great Depression, World War II, things like this. But in my lifetime, for my generation and the generations that are the newest generation, I don't remember what they're called, we've always had everything we needed, everything we wanted, and we've always had enough. We've always had, you know, people have, just for instance, the phone I'm talking on, smartphones. You can look up any information anytime you want, no matter what. You can just say 2 words, and Google gives you the information that you're asking for. What's 1 plus 1? I mean, you don't have to use your brain. You don't have to think. So now we're coming into hardships, and you've already seen this in 2020. We've seen, you know, in the beginning, we've seen the toilet paper shortages. We've seen the food shortages, the meat shortages, and, you know, whatever excuse you want to use for it. I know that it wasn't, you know, it was crop failure is what it was. We couldn't grow because of, if you watch Ice Age Farmer, it's because of the weather and the climate changes caused by the grand solar minimum. And now, I'm not a scientist, and I'm not going into that in this video. So what we're going to see now is this getting worse. It's going to get worse. We're going to see more food shortages. We're seeing them all over the country as it is. We're seeing toilet paper shortages again because, you know, if you're not eating, you don't really need that much toilet paper. Just saying. Just saying. So we're going to see hardships, more hardships to come. That is expected. And a lot of people just, they're not aware of it, or they refuse to be aware of it. They're not. And it's going to come a time where people, you know, even preppers are going to realize, hey, this isn't getting better, this is getting worse. And now you're going to start seeing people who no longer feel safe and secure, not even in their own homes. Eventually, people are going to wake up and not know where their next meal is coming from. And this is going to change people. This is going to change people that you know. It's going to change their mindset, their way of thinking. The morality level of any given population is determined by the amount of supplies the population has. Meaning that the less you have, the less morals you have in a general way. I mean, for the general population. I mean, you see it when it says, and this has been proven, the larger the crowd, the lower the IQ. I've seen this many a times in crowds of people. Just look at the riots and the protests that happen. But also, the people that drive on the roads around me, the bigger the pack of cars, or the more traffic that's on the road, the more people start yelling at each other, getting irritated and weaving in and out and almost getting themselves killed. They get dumber by the minute because there's so many people around them. So yeah, it really is a thing. So you might see, there's a lot of people who prep that have a spouse that doesn't. And these people are used to having everything. They're used to having whatever they want whenever they want it. They're used to being able to go to the grocery store, go to the fast food, and have the meal they want when they want it. And when that is taken away, these people are going to change. There's going to be a lot of people that can't handle this because they've never been put in a situation to handle this. And there's going to be a lot of people that they can't, and they're going to become harmful to themselves and to the other people around them. This is going to happen. This has been proven from a psychological standpoint. This has been proven through many, many times over. You can look at history and see it in history. You can read your Bible and see it happening throughout your Bible. You can see it happening in the Roman Empire, the history of the Roman Empire. You can see it happen as recently as the World Wars, where people they didn't have enough. In other countries, they didn't have enough. The Great Depression, the suicide rate, it's gone way up, just for one example. So even preppers, people who have an abundance in their house and know that, they can survive this, it's going to change their way of seeing things. They're going to have it's just going to fundamentally change the way you see things, the way you feel, the way you act. Then you probably won't even realize it if it's happening to you. But there's going to be preppers that can't handle not knowing that, hey, when my preps run out, then what? You're going to have people hit that mark right there, and then they're going to become very unpredictable. People change when they're put in a prolonged stressful situation where they're worrying about things day after day after day. Where my next meal's coming from? How am I going to get food for my children? I mean, people do very bad things when they are put into these positions. People will wipe out their entire family to save them. It's happened, and it will happen again. You're going to start seeing this, and I've already personally seen the aura of people around me. And anytime I go into a place like Walmart or a populated area, you can see the tension on people's faces. You can see the stress levels going up. You can just feel it from around them. And it's only going to get worse. So the point of this is to try to prepare yourself mentally. We always prepare ourselves with getting enough food, we get enough water, we have gear, we have solar panels, we have this and that. But not enough people prepare themselves up here. A lot of people just don't put themselves into the situation. What will I do if? They don't contemplate that. A lot of preppers do, but a lot of preppers, and this is sad to say, a lot of preppers have never seen a hardship. They've never had a hard time. I have lived in a car. I have not been able to get a meal the next day. Does this make me harder or make me more able to withstand things? Possibly. I'm not going to guarantee that, because I've also, for many years, have had everything I needed and wanted. I've had enough food. I've been in air conditioning. I've been in heat. I'm able to get a job finally, which I start Monday, thankfully. And yeah, I'm right there with you. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to affect me when things change. And you can see them changing. Now, a lot of people say SHTF when SHTF happens. Well, SHTF happens to certain people every day. But SHTF on a national scale or even a global scale is not an instant thing. It doesn't instantly just, boom, there it is. No. It's been happening since January 2020, and it's a progressive thing. It'll keep getting worse and worse and worse and worse until it's to the point that where everybody can't deny it. And when everybody can't deny it, that's when you're going to see the drastic change in people. You're going to see violence, people hurting themselves and people hurting the others around you, around them. And this could happen in your own household. This could happen if you have teenagers or a spouse that just, they don't have the mental capacity to fathom not being able to have what they've always had. When you put people in an uncomfortable situation where they don't know what is going to happen the next day, they don't know where they're going to get their next meal, and this is a prolonged thing and keeps happening over and over again, day after day after day, you're going to see people that just don't want to do it. And people are just going to, you know what I mean, they're just going to hurt themselves. So you have to mentally prepare yourself for that also. If you have people in your household that you're not sure of, I do. If you have neighbors, you may have known your neighbor for a long time, and then suddenly they don't have a job, suddenly they don't have the ability to get food, suddenly you hear screaming and yelling coming from your neighbor's house, and then suddenly you hear loud bangs. I mean, this happens. This happens now when people still have the ability to get what they need. What do you think will happen when they don't? All right, this has been a very grim topic, and this video is starting to run long. I could keep going on this. I've read a lot of psychology books. I really have. I know about psychology. I know about history. I really like history. I study a lot of history. So before I go, I have a religious question because I've been trying to look up the information. So anybody who would like to contribute to this is going to be a Torah observance question for anyone who has been studying Torah longer than I have. And I know the Jewish people do it, but I'm curious because I'm not really seeing it mentioned in my book. Do Torah observant people celebrate Hanukkah? That is the question. So if anybody, who's been studying Torah knows more about that than I do, I would appreciate some insights. And this has been James with Grim Survival. I hope this wasn't too grim for you, but life is grim. So yeah, survival, right? We prep to survive. I'll see you next time.